The Black Press is the one place that Black stories are told from nuts and bolts. The more we tell our story with Black Press, the more that sponsors have to support the Black Press. And I'm 100% behind it.
Dino, everyone has been freaking out about tariffs and tariffs driving up the cost of goods, but nothing has really gone up in price. Dino, everyone has been freaking out about tariffs and tariffs driving up the cost of goods, but nothing has really gone up in price. Is this whole freak out just like BS, or is it a real fear?
I think the shitstorm has not hit yet, and it's getting really close. Why?
So it's not all BS or just
no,
anti-Trump narrative.
Here's what I understand is happening. If you look at cargo shipments, right, in the past, the most recent reports that on cargo shipments, it's down like 40-50%. So what does that mean? That means that all these importers here, that stuff that you buy through importers here, they loaded up on shipments when this tariff nightmare started, before it was put into place.
Okay.
Right? They loaded up. So they shipped everything here and they stocked it into inventory because they were really afraid that if they waited too long and didn't load up here, then those goods coming later would get tariffed. So they front loaded everything. You know what I mean? They just increased their volume to get everything into
just
inventory.
Stocked up.
And that's what you see right now. Part of it is we're stocked up on the prior cost basis pre-tariffs. That's why things have not gone up. But there definitely things will go up for two reasons. Okay. If you look at the shipments now, it's down 50%. So you're going to have 40, 50, something like that. It's significantly down, the cargo coming in. That means when you finish all this inventory that you front loaded before, we're going to have shortages. It takes time for the shipments to arrive.
So supply and demand, less supply.
So we will definitely have shelf shortages. You'll see some shortages happening. What happens when you have a shortages? Remember in COVID, when you didn't have anything in the stores, right? Your prices go up.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one thing. That's one thing that will cause it. And then when they start shipping again, if the tariffs, are put in place permanently, then the normalization of it will be higher prices anyways.
Because of the tax.
So
the goods.
I don't know whether you can undo this right now, because the stuff that's landing here now already is significantly less in volume. So you're going to have some sort of a supply shock, in my opinion.
Okay.
And that means higher prices. And then after that, if the tariffs don't get resolved with all these other countries, then the goods are going to come higher anyways. And also, I don't know, I think a lot of suppliers now, after this front end loading, a lot of importers now, after front end loading everything, maybe some of them are not ordering yet because there's no certainty. One day it's 125%, another day it's 10%, another day I'm making a deal. It's almost like figure it out, like give us some definitive idea of what these things are going to cost in import duties next time. So the longer it's prolonged with uncertainty, I think the longer the risk of a supply shock that's going to happen, all of which does what? Drives the prices up.
Got it.
Against the disenfranchised and it's obvious that there's an agenda against the disenfranchised and the uneducated. So ultimately, I think to counter that, we're going to have to talk to one another. One of the ways we used to do that was through our music. I grew up with the Staple Singers and Curtis Mayfield, Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, and stuff like that. And that particular sound, that sound of the people, to voice our concerns in those areas, is gone now.
Just can't stop right.
Oh, wow. I like it.
Well, welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. I'm your host, Stacey Brown, and this is the Black Press Show's daily show.
Yeah, peace and love, everyone. I'm your co-pilot, Niel, and we're going to jump into some headlines that, of course, uplift and impact the Black experience. And those are two topics that we can get down with, right, Stacey?
Well, without question, the tariffs are certainly on everybody's mind. I like the way the man in the video broke broke down for someone who appears to not understand. These tariffs are going to they're going to start kicking in really soon. And the way he explained it, that was perfect, because people are saying, well, why come we're not feeling it right now? Well, he explained, we are going to feel it.
Yeah, I know. CNBC is reporting that the ports of Los Angeles say shipping volume, Stacey, will plummet by 35% next week as China tariffs start to bite. And over on TikTok, I've seen at least, I kid you not, about 15 videos talking about the containers at the ports are empty. So that's a trend that's happening now.
And it's certainly going to start really affecting our own pockets. It's going to, our bank accounts and everything else. Everything is going up because supply and demand. It's just as simple as to say supply and demand.
Right. And so that second video, I really enjoyed, and I'm glad that you sent it over, because I was looking at all the clips of the Beyonce concert, as you know, us Beehivers are preparing to go to the show this coming weekend. But it really resonated, because her concert is all about what it means to be an American, especially from the Black perspective. And that flag is not just for white folks, it's for us too. The liberties and the freedoms are just for us. The Star Spangled Banner is for us. And I love how during the concert, in the clips that I saw, she's woven that. And that's the story that she's telling. Like, you can't tell me I'm not American. I'm just as country as the country singer, and I am just as American as the white person. My ancestors paid that price for me. And so when he says that about Marvin Gaye, and I think about her and Kendrick Lamar and the tour, and what their tour is actually saying to America. So Prince was right on point with that.
Yeah, we know during the civil rights era, as you pointed out, as Prince pointed out, and apparently what Beyonce is doing, we did have a couple of our real strong musicians, entertainers say, hey, you know what, this is bigger than us, and so we're going to tell our story, and this is how we're going to tell it. And nobody, when it comes to that, told it like James Brown and Marvin Gaye.
Right, I agree. Stevie Wonder was one of those
And
ones
Stevie
too,
Wonder, right.
that really did that. And I just, there's a picture of Beyonce. If you haven't heard her country album, the first song, American Requiem, and Ya Ya, those lyrics speak of today, and they speak of what it means as a Black person in America to be an American with pride and not get caught up in all of the systemic racism of it all, but more so the price our ancestors paid for us to be just as free, to be just as unapologetic, and to be just as rich. I mean, that girl is doing it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. That statement alone I find interesting too, when you think about it. Like you said, ancestors paying for freedom. You don't hear that from any other group, any other race, any other group of people than Black folks. We didn't ask to be here,
right?
And we certainly didn't ask to be enslaved, and where we have to pay for our freedom. I saw another video, by the way, Neil, that speaks to that, the Confederacy, and how it was interesting how the Confederacy and the Confederates, they're traitors, right? They were traitors, and traitors, however you want to say it. The penalty for that is execution. But as the video I saw correctly stated, it was just a slap on the wrist that they got, just like the January 6th insurrectionists. An insurrectionist is a traitor. An insurrectionist is a traitor, and a traitor by law can be executed.
Right. And you brought up the Confederacy. Just this past weekend, many Southern states celebrated National Confederate Day, Confederate Memorial Day. Did you know that? And they rose flags. Some of the governors doubled down on Confederate Day this past weekend. And so, speaking of the times and just doubling down on this is our country too. You know, with all the problems that it has, there is a certain liberation of owning this part of the country, you know, our piece of the pie in this country. And that concert, it really speaks to that. I love how she takes the American flag and she makes it her own. This ain't just y'all's, it's mine too. My ancestors paid the price for it. And I'm gonna double down on it. I love it. I love it.
Well, it looks like somebody who is doubling down on capitulating is Jeff Bezos. He, if you remember, of course, last year he stopped the Washington Post from endorsing Vice President Harris. He was worried about Trump blowback, and now Amazon, his company, is backpedaling again. Yesterday, the company publicly denied something that we knew was true, but they denied a report that it planned to list Trump's tariff costs alongside product prices after the White House called it a hostile political act. How is that a hostile political act? By telling folks, this is why XYZ cost XYZ.
Right. You know, the thing about it is Donald Trump can slow down his Klan members, you know, resistance or telling of the truth, but the truth is about to speak for itself. So he could have, you know, I saw the press release that Amazon put out, like just basically telling Trump to chill out. That's not really what happened. I mean, it's going to happen whether Jeff Bezos does it or not, because when we go to Amazon and look at those prices come next week or the 1st of June, middle of May, we don't need him to do the comparison because we're going to fill it in our pocketbooks. So you can slow it down, Trump, but it's coming. America is going to feel your wrath, and the return is going to be on you, bro. And you see that now, the first 100 days, his approval rating is horrific. And it's the worst that any president has ever had within 100 days. So you could stop the bleeding, but it's still going, the tear is still going to rip and the blood is still going to drip, bro.
Someone in the chat mentioned about housing prices. And yeah, we are seeing a huge they can't build because of these tariffs. Bills that have began have not been able to continue. It's a total disaster. And someone, MB, I believe, is writing that he just wants to make money. He has no morals. That latter, both are true, but it's beyond that. This goes beyond just money and of course morals. 34 times, not 40, 34 times convicted, but wants to make money. It goes beyond, it's deeper than that. We are seeing, yes, money is always a central theme for this president. He sells everything he can get his hands on that has his name attached in any way, shape, or form, right from the Oval Office. Mm-hmm. He's got merchandise. And as you pointed out, or someone pointed out recently, like the White House lawn has become a Tesla showroom. So, but it's beyond just money. This is just some old, as Bernie Mac said, some old bull, because this is crazy.
Right. Yeah, it's a power play. It's a white supremacist play. It's a play to take us back to the good old days. And you know, some days I feel like he just wants to destroy the country. Like he wants to go down as the president that destroyed America, you know, destroyed us as a superpower, you know, destroyed all of our relationships across the world. And just to, you know, and just as they took the land, he wants to destroy the land.
Dr. Marilyn just wanted to throw this out there to you, Neil. She is saying that it's all good. And I guess this is in reference to Beyonce, as you was mentioning. She says it's all good to feel Black and American when you are a billionaire, but the rest of us who aren't don't get to sit at that table. I'll let you tackle that one.
I mean, the concert, you know, wasn't speaking to being a billionaire. It was speaking to America. and how the dream isn't for everybody. I mean, and they're still, I totally get your point, but to me, the messaging was about that this land is our land too, you know. And Beyonce didn't grow up with the silver spoon in her mouth. Her father went bankrupt. She knows what it's like to have and to have not. So she's dealt with both spectrums. But I wasn't really focused on her. It really resonated to me with that concert that this land, this flag, even with all the messed up stuff that this country is, our ancestors built it as well. And it's ours as well. And it's ours to fight for. And it's not just given to them white folks. That's what I took away from it.
Mhm.
And that she's also an example of the American dream. Like I said, she didn't come from like Donald Trump, a silver spoon in her mouth. She had to work to get those billions. Jay-Z didn't come with a silver spoon in his mouth. They had to work to acquire that wealth. And she still has to prove it. Look at her whole plea with country music. She's still not accepted in that space. But guess what? She decided, I don't care. I'm still country, born country, raised country, and I'm gonna do country music whether you like it or not. So I do hear your point, but I think it was a bigger message than just wealth. It just comes with Black pride in America, and that's what I took away from it.
Mike V says, can you imagine if Obama was selling Afro combs and Black Power medallions during his administration, how white folks would have flipped out?
And that's what I'm saying. I felt that Obama, I love him to death, but he missed the mark. He should have painted at least one of them rooms. You got a red room, a green room. Let's get a black room up in there.
Well, yeah, but let's face it, it would be gone. It would have been gone during Trump's first term, right?
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Paint it.
Oh boy.
Get some black china, or how about Michelle should have picked some black china? They can't get rid of her china because every first lady brings her own set of china in the White House. She could have had some black china, and that would have stayed. They might not have used it, but it would have been there.
Don't you know when Trump went into that White House, the first thing he got rid of was the hot sauce? No more hot sauce.
just ketchup.
Mayonnaise. According to the Griot, critics of Trump's chaotic first 100 days, which have been defined by executive orders, broken norms, and constitutional crisis, Black Americans are experiencing the most severe damage. Among the most affected have been important institutions, which include education, health and human services, health and human services actually employ a significant number of Black people, or did. Amisha Cross had pointed that out. And she also warned that the government, Trump's administration's anti-public health interventions, particularly its anti-vaccine stance under Robert F. Kennedy Jr., could and probably will worsen Black people's health outcomes. And this is another example of why people like Saquon Barkley just don't get it or just don't care. You can't go posing with this guy like everything is good. You can't go playing around the golf with this dude like everything is okay. Tell me and show me video and audio of you trying to talk some sort of sense into this man, then maybe I can excuse it.
Right. I hate to say this, and this might start a controversy in the chatting with you, but I find that to be quite often with Black men and having these conversations. Even Democratic Black men, there's just something about this whole conversation with Trump that is more relatable with men than it is with women. Like 92% we double down. But there are quiet conversations amongst men, Black men in particular, that, and you see with the numbers of voting, it wasn't a lot, but it was more than Black women. There's something that, especially when Black men have a certain level of power, that they can relate to some of the things that Donald Trump is doing. I don't know why that is. But I mean, I see it. He's not the only. Saquon is not the only one. It's a lot of them. He's just saying it publicly.
Yeah, let me say this, and folks really need to understand: because you have fame and/or money doesn't make you intelligent. Does not make you. It makes you cool only in visual, right? Doesn't make you cool in substance and style. Because you have money does not mean that you know it all or know anything. Some of the most ignorant people have a lot of money. And if you want to argue with me, look at the president. Look at his buddy there from Tesla. So what I'm getting at is, in addition to that, these black men you speak of, and you're absolutely right, they desperately, this group of black men who think like that, they desperately want that access to power, no doubt, but they also can't, have lost their way. They can't find their way. They're looking for somebody to look up to them, and they're looking in the wrong places. It's like looking for love in all the wrong places. They are just, these guys have not, they didn't have Big Mama to get the stick after them to say, you go down there and get that switch and bring it here so I can whip your tail. These guys are lost, and it's just, they're not smart, most of them. And, they're just looking, Neil, in my opinion, they're looking to be looked up to.
Okay, I can take that. A little pushback. I also feel like, and this is your soapbox too, that they don't see themselves in a Democratic Party or a Republican Party, right? And so they don't see how the Democratic Party has gotten our people anywhere. And so it's they don't really see the Republicans being that bad. And so you have a country to where, I mean, because even us, we're now saying, what is going on with the Democratic Party? Have we been hoodwinked? Mm-hmm. So I think it's a lot of that conversation too. It's not just about power. It's just about, for so many years, neither party has done anything for anybody. But I also agree with what you said, like Nelly came out yesterday or over the weekend, talking about, let's just give them a chance, kumbaya. He's like, he's doubling down, like, I don't have no problem with Trump. Then you have people like Snoop that says, I'm not in politics. I'm not Democrat or Republican. I'm about green. And so you have all of these different conversations, but I think that the valid one is that not seeing yourself or seeing yourself represented in either party. I think that's the biggest issue, that there's no space for any of us.
I just, all of that may be true. I think it goes even beyond whether or not they, party affiliation or don't care to have a party affiliation. I think there's a abject selfishness too that goes on with these individuals we speak of, these black men that we speak of. There is definitely a greed, but there's this huge selfishness. And let's face it, if we're going to do real talk, black people have always, black men especially, have always had the problem of, what I have, I don't want you to have. What and this is where they relate to Trump. It's not anything else but this. I am the one that you have to come to for anything. I want to be that one. And Trump right now is that one when it comes to this crazy world of politics that we live in. And black men have that problem. They've historically had that problem, not wanting to share any type of community or any type of power, resources with each other. We'd rather go do business with the man than within ourselves. That's how I see it. I could be way off according to some, but in my opinion, that's how I see it. And
Well,
that's
that one,
really the bottom line.
well, that one, I don't think that well, that one is, I don't think that's a male issue. I just think that's what you call gatekeeping. And there are a lot of gatekeepers out there that are male and female. To be a gatekeeper of, you know, I'm going to decide who gets in, who has access, who has influence, who has power. I have the power to do that, and so I'm going to gatekeep. I know a lot of women that gatekeep. So I think that you know, that's a little different. When people gatekeep, that's across the board, male, female. And I don't want to bash. I don't want to bash. You know, I'm not bashing black men or saying that, but I'm just saying my observation in the conversations that I have. A lot of them are just not feeling the Democratic Party. They're still on the fence about what Trump is doing, and I'm like, okay, FAFO. You know, FAFO.
Well, right, because it's deeper than whether or not you are Democrat or Republican, or you feeling a Democrat or you feeling Republican. You know, the parties. It's to me, it's not about that. You know, when somebody is breaking into your home, you're not checking to see if it's a Democrat or a Republican, if it's a black guy or a white guy, male or female. You're looking to protect yourself and your family. These guys are out here running with this man who is trying to destroy their family, who is breaking into their homes figuratively and looking to do harm to their family. And they're it's, you know, you got to understand why he's doing that. I'm not trying to understand why somebody's breaking into my home.
And the funny part is, it's happening to the rich now. You know, he messing with their money.
Yeah, well, right. Nobody's off limits.
Money.
Right. Nobody's off limits.
Look at
Target
Elon
CEO.
Musk. Look at Elon Musk. He losing daily.
Mhm.
You see Jeff Bezos. Then these are all of the men that were sitting front and center in front of the Congress members, in front of the public servants. These are the men that Trump put up front at his inauguration, and now all of them is losing.
They all losing. Well, the drama is out in the open now. So, Neil, I guess we can talk a little bit about this drama that's unfolding in our world, the world of Black journalism. Instead of focus,
Tell me about it.
well, instead of focusing on the erasure of Black history, some Black journalists are targeting veteran White House correspondent and Black Press USA's Washington bureau chief, April Ryan, who is the journalist who broke the story about the Smithsonian's plans to return iconic Black artifacts. According to the Jasmine brand, a smear campaign is brewing behind the scenes against April, led by none other than another journalist. But the backlash is raising eyebrows. April, as the Jasmine brand points out, is the longest serving Black White House reporter. And she is widely respected, widely known, and even former White House Biden aide Erica Lowe and our girl Reese Colbert, Reese with the receipts, called her integrity, called April's integrity, unimpeachable. And they voiced support. And as Reese put it, when power backs down after getting exposed, folks like to pretend the truth was never true, but we know better. It's like, give me a break. What are y'all really doing here?
You said a whole bunch of stuff, but what the people want to know is, who is the journalist trying to do the smear campaign? Since you got all the receipts, who is the journalist? Can we?
I said Reese with the receipts. I didn't write the story. The Jasmine brand, so they need to tell us who that journalist is.
Oh,
the Jasmine brand knows who this is.
Okay. So we don't know who it is.
You know, we can guess, but you know.
Okay, I mean, let's guess.
I'm not gonna throw nobody on the bus like that. Now, come on now. Come on, now you trying to.
Who? Because it's like a boogeyman. Who is the boogeyman? Who is the
Well,
boogeyman?
I think the great thing, what we should try and do, and I think I think Greer may be attempting to do this, is get the Jasmine Brands editor or owner on the show to talk about this.
Jasmine. Okay.
So hopefully we'll get her on, and maybe she'll be willing to reveal her source or sources. But this is not just a Jasmine brand. It's not just their reporting. We do know that things have been going on. We've been experiencing it for the last 6 or 7 days, I guess. And we a lot of behind the scenes goings on. And if you follow any of us, April, even myself, and other Black journalists on social media, you might have a hint as to what's really going on. But ever since April dropped that first story about the museum, and we had Dr. Amos Brown on, who confirmed everything April had reported. In fact, he was mentioned in her story, and because he was mentioned in her story and she spoke to him, other outlets began calling Dr. Brown, and thus we saw him on CNN, NBC News Washington, the other DC area papers as well, and news organizations. But the fact is, folks, the fact is that you got some folks upset that April broke this story about the museum returning artifacts. Perhaps, and MB says her story was excellent, perhaps there was a bit of jealousy that other journalists didn't break this story. Maybe they felt they had the relationships to break it. But let me tell you something. One of the things I've learned in the short few months working with April is that April is very much plugged in. And so your sources may be let's say this, you guys, you other journalists, maybe your source is the manager at the museum or at the store, I should say. April's source is probably the owner. That's the difference.
Well, I think that one of the issues is that the Smithsonian put out a release. So, since we're journalists and we're given the facts, the Smithsonian put out a release and said, respectively, the accounts are inaccurate. And that's the story that spun. So I think that the Smithsonian has some responsibility in this smear campaign, is because if they're giving out information and then they put out a press release that says respectively.
But wait a minute.
Wait, I'm not finished. I'll let you talk for 20 minutes. Respectively, it's inaccurate. That's partly you guys. I get the journalists, putting it out there, but the Smithsonian is the one that put out the press release to say that what she said was inaccurate. So I think accountability goes on as far as Black journalists. We shouldn't be doing a smear campaign against anybody that is putting out any information that we know. We know that April Ryan is a certified career journalist who reports nothing but facts. But at the same time, if the people that are giving her the facts are going behind her back and putting out a press release saying respectively it's inaccurate, that's a problem too. So I think we have two problems happening: what the Smithsonian is doing and what the journalists are doing.
So let me just clear something up. We don't know where she got her information from.
Okay.
She has not named her whether or not the source is in the Smithsonian or not.
Well,
it's likely that the source is in this.
Yeah. You said that you might be getting yours from the manager, and then
I was just giving an example.
Well, that's the
that's just that that's an example. I was just trying to differentiate that. If you think that you got one up on her, folks, the other journalists, your source may be the manager, hers may be the owner. That's how different.
Okay, Greer was saying yes, she did get it from the Smithsonian.
Okay, so she got it from the Smithsonian, but again, without revealing, here's the thing. the Smithsonian is the subject of the story, right? I didn't say she got it from the Smithsonian because I don't know if she put it out there that she got it from the Smithsonian. I'm not about to give up another journalist's source. That's all I was saying. But number two, the fact is that anytime you write something that may be deemed controversial, and it could be 1000% accurate, the person or institution or business that you're writing about it will ultimately deny it. And the problem here is not the Smithsonian's denying this, it's these Black journalists who harped on it and attacked April for reporting something that she know to be true. When does that ever happen, and why is that happening now when this man that we've been talking about for the past 40 minutes, Donald Trump, he's the one in control of all of that, and you're going to take the word of him over her, because that's really what it boils down to, and now you're going to attack her when she's trying to do something here based on her reporting, her sources. And it turns out Dr. Brown came on the show to confirm it.
Right.
That was true. Why are we attacking her?
Right.
Why are Black journalists doing that?
Like I said, I think there are two things going on. I think that the Smithsonian should be held accountable because she put the story out. And
the Smithsonian is the Trump administration. You got to understand, they're running the Smithsonian.
I mean, it doesn't matter. They put out a press release on Instagram and on out saying that what she said was respectively inaccurate.
And
they
that's
should
to
be
be
held
expected.
accountable. But for them to say that, they knew what they were doing.
Mhm.
Now, as journalists, it is acceptable for them to take that piece of information and put it out there. So
no, it's not just them putting it out there.
now,
You got to understand, they didn't just put it out there.
Wait, let me just say this. If it's a smear campaign, that's totally different.
Right.
For a journalist to report, and I saw some of it. I saw some people just repost what the Smithsonian said. I saw some people do that.
Right. So you didn't see
I saw
what
some
was
people with that. Okay, so that's all I saw. I didn't see a smear campaign, and so I hear what you're saying. That is totally wrong. But like I said, I think there are two things happening. I think that it is atrocious that there are Black journalists who know the history of April Ryan's career, and you know that she's not a shade room, baller alert, neighborhood talk. She is a certified, credible White House, longest Black person in the White House as a correspondent. So we know the legitimacy of who she is. But I also think the second thing is happening is that the Smithsonian needs to stop putting out information if they're not going to stand up and say they said it.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know that they put out information in the beginning. So it's just, let me just put it this way.
It's a mess. It's a mess.
Well, let me put it this way. It's put it this way. It's so usual. It's almost a reflex, as I said, for an organization, a company, an individual to put out a denial of something that came out against them or that made it appear that it was negative for them, or they didn't want people to know. I've been doing this 30 years. You've been doing it a while. This is normal. We've come to expect that. What we don't expect is for journalists, other journalists, accomplished journalists apparently, to then attack the reporter who put the information, who got the sources and reported a story. It's one thing for them to pick up the Smithsonian's their denial. That's okay.
Yeah,
because I think April ran their denial as well.
Yeah.
But to attack April is absolutely insane. It's insidious, and it's behavior that you expect when you look at history and see that there were slaves who turned other slaves in.
Okay. Now, were these salacious posts and things, were they online, or was this just like an internal text message or conversation, or were there actually posts online dragging April?
Well, I did speak to April, and there were apparently she saw some things online where she was being dragged. I did see a couple of folks that what I saw was probably a little bit more tame than what she saw, because I didn't see all the things that she said she saw. But I will say this, folks saying, okay, I'm taking down or taking off my timeline April's original story because the Smithsonian said this. Are you kidding me?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's why I thought it was so important to reach out to Dr. Brown yesterday and have him
Yeah, that
on,
was a great hit.
because I mean, it was just like, it's true. We just went to I just went to, you went to DC too. You're closer than me, but we were just at the Smithsonian because we knew that it was coming. So we had foresaw this. And so we knew it was happening. And so when she broke the story, it wasn't, and it's kind of like this cat and mouse game that the Trump administration is playing. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the bigger issue. If we could get that out, into the public, that the Smithsonian is playing games, and they are the ones that are causing the confusion amongst the Black journalist community. Because I think Dr. Brown even told us yesterday, they sent him the letter, he pushed back, and now they want to have a panel review, right? So now he comes on TV and says they're taking my stuff. We don't know if next week they're going to come out and say, oh no, we're going to decide to keep the Bible and the Negro book. You know what I'm saying? So it's a cat and mouse game that they're playing with Black journalists. And that's the third point that needs to be brought out. Like, Black journalists shouldn't be attacking people. They shouldn't be attacking each other, because we need to be getting out the information to our community. But the Smithsonian, it should stop this game. And the Trump administration is behind all of it. So we just have to be more cautious about what we're doing. But I think that if that's what the Smithsonian told us, and then we have facts to support what April did, because that's what happened. She put the story out. The Smithsonian backtracked, just like Jeff Bezos did yesterday, backtracked. And then we had the facts with Dr. Brown. And so, I mean, that's just the way this thing is going. That's just the way this is. Stop hating on April. If you out there hating on April, leave her alone. She got enough hell to deal with going to that White House every day and getting the stories for Black folks. Leave her
alone. She, the point that I think you made my point too. The fact is that because the Smithsonian put out something that said that, this or that, Black journalists in this time, especially in this time, would attack her. I'm just lost with that. I just don't understand that. The Smithsonian, as Greer says, they didn't come out denying nothing or pushing back when the executive orders was being written, or when Trump did what he did. But aside from the Smithsonian, the reason I'm not too interested in holding them responsible for this nonsense is because it's what people do. It's what institutions do, as I said. But for these Black journalists, and some of these journalists are very, very, very well known. And
so
to go against her,
you do know who the journalists are.
Well, I don't know who the original source, but I don't know who the source for the Jasmine brand, because they mentioned one particular person. I don't know who that person is, but I do know, for instance, let me throw this out. I know that Joy Reid has had a problem with the article. I know that I can't even think the guy. Well, he's not even a journalist, a professor, Eddie Glaude or whatever you say, how you say his name, had a problem with the article, or not necessarily had a problem with it, but the moment the Smithsonian came out, they were like, okay, we're going to take April's story down from our timeline because the Smithsonian said this. I mean, how much controversial stuff, and we all big fans of Joy. How many times she said something that's very controversial? And we all stood behind her. So all I'm saying is, what happened here that y'all couldn't stand behind April on something like this when it is us who are being affected? It is Black history that this man, as we all know, is trying to erase.
Okay, so I did see I saw so let me go back. I saw what Joy Reid posted, and I didn't see her post anything but a repost of the Smithsonian. That's all I saw, which made me go back and look to see what the story was, and I read it. So I mean, this is new news to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She apparently also took down April's original story as well. So to me, it's crazy. It's crazy because the Smithsonian said so. And it's unlike Joy Reid to bend to or to capitulate in any way. That is so not Joy Reid. So I wonder what is really going on here. You know, Joy is like 10 toes down on her Blackness. Nobody can question that. But I don't understand. And it's not just Joy. I'm not trying to pick on Joy at all. I'm just saying what I saw. She had this April. She reposted April's story and took it down.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So, and she wasn't the only one. So, you know, that's where it's at. Let's do some quick.
Is it? Let me ask. So, is it that? I mean, is there anything wrong with her taking the story down?
Anything wrong with who taking the story down?
The journalist that took the story down. Like, I mean, I know I've done that before. I've reposted something and then I realized that maybe I shouldn't have posted this yet because there are conflicting stories. So is there I mean, I don't see a problem with her taking the story down. I don't see a problem with her reposting. As a journalist, you want to be as most accurate as you could be. Now, if there's some other stuff going on behind the scenes, and you know, I get all of that, but to take the story down and to put the most accurate information out coming from the source that the story is around, I don't see that being a problem. But a smear campaign is something totally different than just taking a post down because it's no longer relevant to what the latest story is. I don't see a problem with that. But if she's a part of a smear campaign, that's a totally different conversation.
So they publicly said that the story was inaccurate. That's a stab at April's integrity, as Greer put.
The Smithsonian said that. The Smithsonian said that.
No, apparently these other journalists said that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that's where the problem lies. It's, are you kidding me? And if you look at the so-called clarifications of the Smithsonian in their statement, and you look at April's article, compare their statement to April's article. There's nothing really different. What's different? What's different?
Right.
They may not have liked the tone of her article. Maybe they didn't like the headline.
And Greer's put it in the chat. April never said the chair was removed. She said it was targeted to be removed. So I think that's important to say too. She never said that the chair was removed. But the bottom line is that the Trump administration, which we know he put JD Vance over the Smithsonian as I think it was the chair or whatever. We know that they are coming for the artifacts. We know that for a fact. That's why Stacey and I were at the museum a couple weeks ago. And so whether it's the chair, whether it's the Harriet Tubman's fork or knife, you know, whether it's the Black Code exhibit or the Mary Cloud Bethune, or at the very bottom, the whole story of the transatlantic slave trade, they are going and they are removing certain things. There are individuals receiving letters, just like Dr. Brown came on the show yesterday and told us that they are removing artifacts. They are sending letters to the people who own them and telling them that they're sending their stuff back. It's happening.
It's happening.
And I think that is the crust of what April was trying to tell us, is that they are removing our shit. Excuse my language. And I think they are removing our artifacts. That's the point. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, know, the nuances of this conversation are ridiculous because the bottom line is that they are taking our stuff and they are trying to write our history from a white perspective. That's what they're
I
doing.
can't. I,
You know,
I can't
like,
get over
come on,
it.
y'all. Come on. Let's stop this.
But that's what makes that Greer said. It's like sometimes, those rare occasions, they say great minds think alike. So it makes me feel like I have a great mind when I'm thinking like Greer. That's what I was about to say. That's what makes these attacks against April so egregious, so insidious. It's like, come on, are we really doing this?
And we shouldn't be fighting to be the Black voice. Like this is what we were talking about a few minutes earlier about gatekeeping. Remember, I brought up gatekeeping. This is the, like you can't be the only one that you want people to listen to. You know what I'm saying? Like we have, like yesterday, like they did that to her. But what did we do as teammates? We went and got Dr. Brown. Dr. Brown. Okay, it wasn't a chair, but what are they taking from you? They pulling out your Bible, they pulling out the oldest Negro book in the museum. So whether it's the chair or whatever, and y'all. So somebody send a memo out to Joy Reid, to everybody. Let's get on the same page because it's happening. And then instead of all of this, and this person got the story, this part. Let's just tell let's not end up like the Democratic Party, Black journalists.
There you go.
Everybody pissed off at us, okay? Let's not end up like the Democratic Party. Let's be the voice. Let's have the people coming to us. Now, I ain't listening to them because they can't even get on the same page.
See, there you go. You got away with words at times. I mean, it's like we said, it's really a shame. To see this at any time, but particularly now and on this issue. Come on, let's be real. And that it just means that there is someone within. There's an enemy within, and who's is trying to spread a cancer within Black journalism. That's what that seems to suggest to me.
Or some personal beefs going on that we not need to be involved in. Keep your personal issues with whoever personal, but don't muddy the Black journalistic quality that we're trying to pull out, the integrity that we have. That is sad that they would try to do April's reputation like that. If that's happening, because this is all alleged, right? Or is it factual? It's alleged, right? This is alleged. It could be read the wrong way. People, sometimes when our emotions get involved, things are read the wrong way. So maybe it was just read the wrong way, and I'm hoping for that.
Yeah. What's you got some quickies?
I have a few. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and so we're gonna start off right now in Texas. Okay, Texas Hold'em. Okay, the Texas State Bar has rescinded its Juneteenth invitation to the NAACP President and CEO Derek Johnson over the organization's lawsuit against the Trump administration. Now, the State Bar Executive Director told The Hill that having Johnson speak, it violates new rules regarding speaking topics that the bar could consider political. So, I mean, the NAACP Juneteenth, political?
It's ridiculous. It is absolutely insane. But, this is something else that we probably could have seen coming, right?
Right.
Hot Wheels is good. He said, Inferno 932 said Hot Wheels is going all out.
Who is that?
That's the governor of Texas, Abbott's nickname.
Yeah, that's Jasmine Crockett nickname, Hot Wheels.
Yes.
Yes, he is. Yes. And see, that's just enough. They just always want to try to put us in our place and let them know that they still have the ultimate power. But we're gonna move on. And mass resignations continue. And they're happening at the DOJ right now. Now, the Civil Rights Division is expecting over 100 lawyers and staff to take an early resignation offer. Now, the shift comes as the Trump clan administration, whatever you want to call them, appointee dramatically is steering away from the Civil Rights Division's historic mission. Now, the Assistant Attorney General, Harmit Dillon, who oversees the Civil Rights Division, told CNN he expects the final number of resignations to surpass 200 attorneys and staff, which could be well over 70% of the workforce.
Mm-hmm. Again, with all the money this guy wastes on his golf trips, I think the golf trip now at his, and here's the most of the golf trips are taking place at his home, so he's still charging taxpayers for that. We're well over $30 million now. Excuse me, and so we are to believe that they're saving money by forcing people out. 70% of the DOJ, as you said. So give me a break. It's
within the Civil Rights Division, and so I think like how we started the show with the tariffs and not feeling the impact just yet. This is another scenario where we haven't felt the impact just yet, but all of these cases that, especially since George Floyd was murdered, a lot of the federal cases fell up under the Civil Rights and the Department of Justice. And so it's going to be interesting to see now where justice is served when it comes to Black folks in this country, especially when we talk about police sanctioned violence.
Yep.
And so now let's head over to the U.S. Postal Office, where they have quietly begun assisting Trump mass deportation efforts. Now, according to the Washington Post, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service has joined forces with Homeland Security and are reportedly looking for images of outside packages to help track down undocumented people in the U.S. So now the post office is involved.
Of course. His first term, Trump was taking control of the post office. And now we see one of the reasons why he wanted to take control of the post office. So here we go.
Politicizing letters. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So let's head over to Chicago. This is a good one. And we want to get the chat involved in this conversation. Know your thoughts. In Chicago, bags of cash fell from a Brinks truck last week.
How come I'm never around when this happens?
Right. And about 50 to 100 people were seen taking the money and fleeing. Now, about 300,000 was lost. No arrests have been made. My question is to you, Stacey, in the chat. If you saw a Brinks truck drop money, would you go participate? And then the second part is, do you think that these people should be arrested for grabbing the money? Stacey, let's start with you.
Start with me. So in all seriousness, yes, should they be arrested? It's probably not the question I would ask. It's a legitimate question, but it's the question I'd ask is, do they know that they're going to be arrested when they are found? Because it is a federal crime. Even if that money happened to, if they flying above your house, a Brinks airplane, and some of the money fell into your yard, it's federal money. It's considered a federal offense, I should say, if you do not return the money. If you pick up this money and do not return it, is that a fair law? Well, it's been on the books forever. It doesn't make it fair. But here's the thing: don't mess with that money, folks. I know it's tempting. I would be tempted.
Let me tell you, I'm taking the money, and they're gonna have to tell me about the law. Okay, I'm taking the money, and they're gonna have to tell me about the law, because if you don't know, you just don't know. They can't.
Ignorance is no excuse for breaking
if you don't
the law.
know, I'm taking the money.
Well, Niele will be doing. She'll every morning. It'll be, I'm your host, Stacey Brown, and then I'm your co-pilot from prison.
Well, nobody has been arrested, so nobody Nobody's been arrested. You know, they got insurance on that money. They got insurance on that money.
Yes, they got insurance on that money, but they also have assurance that you're going to jail.
Well, nobody has been arrested. And so, you know, we're going to track that story to see if anybody gets arrested. But I'm telling you, if I'm driving and I see money all on the ground and I'm thinking about my bills, I'm taking the money. Okay. I'm just
Okay.
saying. What's the chat saying?
Well, Dr. Joni too says if money falls out of a truck, you know it ain't yours. and Inferno 932 is just laughing at you.
I'm taking the money. Okay. And trust me, the millennials and the Gen Z, they taking the money. The baby boomers and the baby boomers are not taking the money. And
all I gotta say is I don't have any bail money.
The Gen Xers are like, let me see how many cameras are around on the poles. Any cameras around? No cameras around.
Wait a minute. Dr. Marilyn said that money is gone. Won't he do it?
Well, Willie won't. Willie won't. Okay,
Wow.
let's keep it moving. I got one. All I needed was one. I just needed one. All right. So let's head over to Idaho, where an owner at a bar has decided to host a hetero awesome fest in June to coincide with Pride Month. Now, the 2-day festival will be held across the street from the Capitol, and this is to counteract Pride Month, which we know is a celebration of the queer community. That's the LGBTQ plus community. And so we have hetero awesome fest. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's just ridiculous. Look, if you don't agree, if you don't agree with Inferno 932 says "we man syndrome." I don't know if he's talking about this or not. It seems that he is, but if you don't agree with the LGBT community and what they do, Pride Month and all that, that's your right. But come on, and response? Why even have a response? Right. Come on. It shows you how much hate folks can really, when folks hate, there's no limit to what they will try and do.
And it also shows you how they have been mad for a long time about the way this country has been going. And were just waiting for an opportunity to just all of the inclusiveness that we have, strived for.
Mm-hmm.
They've been seething the entire time, and they've been in them backwoods at the KKK meetings and them Project 2025 meetings trying to figure out how to stop it.
Here's the thing. Are people in that community bothering you? I mean, somebody just said this too. I don't know, was it Greer? Somebody just said this, that the one who makes, basically you make enough noise when the loudest one in the room is the problem. If you're screaming, "I am not gay, I am not," you gay.
Right.
This guy wants to do this, the show Awesome Fest, to show how different he is when he probably is a member of the LGBTQ community and don't want people to know about it.
Or he has a family member. He might not be, but I'm sure somebody in his family is.
Yeah,
nowadays, everybody has a member of the queer community in their family.
Yeah, you going out your way to do this. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. Let's talk a little pop culture. This is a trending story, and people want to know the devil is in the details. We want to know the details. Mary J. Blige is suing one of her closest friends for years. I'm talking about Misa Hilton. Misa Hilton is suing Mary J. Blige for $5 million. And this has to do with an artist that Misa says that Mary J. Blige is holding an album up, that this cute guy, it's a lot of drama going on there. But if you don't know, Misa is Puff Daddy's first baby's mother. She is the mother of Christian. Mary J. Blige has been like a godmother to Christian. They've been friends since Bad Boy. And so now this man Vlad has both of these women, fighting of $5 million. Well, Misa's fighting for her $5 million because she says she's the manager of this rapper. Mary J. Blige is holding up his project, telling him that if you want your project to be released, you got to drop Misa. Misa is saying that her team has been excluded from private yacht parties and different events and meetings that Mary J. Blige has had with this artist. So it sounds like a mess, but for Misa to sue Mary for $5 million publicly sounds really messy.
I saw a video yesterday. I'm always seeing videos of Mary. She was coming out of some place with her entourage, and there were fans around. And it might not have been apparently not a good time for Mary, but it's something that you hate to see. Fans, young and otherwise, asking for autographs, and her entourage is yelling at them and cursing at them. She's not signing any effing this and that. And I mean, men and women in the entourage, you heard women's voice yelling at the fans and stuff.
That was her sister. I saw that. That was her sister.
And it's like, you know what? Some people don't deserve, in my estimation, and I know this is only off one video I'm saying this, so but I hate to see it. I say they don't deserve that type of they don't deserve what they have so far. Put it that way. They don't deserve that type of accolades anyway. I've never asked, and that's not just because of that, but that's one small reason I've never asked anyone for an autograph. Never. I've had celebrities say to me, why you never ask for an autograph? Dude, if I sliced your arm and you slice mine, what we gonna see? We gonna see blood. We flesh and blood. You're not that important. I mean, I didn't say that to them, that you're not that important, but in my mind, you're not that important.
Well, Stacey, you are dating yourself because nobody asks for autographs anymore. It's called a selfie. Can I get a selfie?
Okay. Well, they were asking for both, wasn't they, in that video with Mary?
They don't want an autograph. They want a selfie.
They want a selfie.
Know? And not less now if you have your vinyl. I see a lot of people now are bringing their vinyl, like if they have your vinyl album. But yeah, but I'm just teasing you.
No, I know. It's okay.
But
you're right.
But
I watched a baseball game yesterday, and they brought a great moment. They in the broadcast booth, it was a Mets game, and Keith Hernandez is a Mets legend, and he's in the broadcast booth, and they showed on the camera, they caught this fan with an old Keith Hernandez baseball card, and they sent someone out and brought him into the broadcast booth so Keith could sign that card for him. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah. Mary has always been an around the way girl. She's just that different type of artist, Catch her on a good day, she'll have a conversation with you. Catch her on a bad one, you might get that Yonkers girl.
Yeah. In all fairness, this wasn't Mary shouting and cursing at the fans. This was her, like you said, her sister and her
entourage. Yeah, she just got straight in the car.
Yeah.
But
in all fairness,
in all fairness, but she did ignore them. They were asking her too. She just didn't say nothing. She just got in the car like.
And I guess sometimes you're just not in the mood, but you got to recognize your place. At least give a wave.
But I'm interested though to see what's really going on with these two, Misa and Mary.
Oh yeah.
And it'll be also interesting to see, since we're talking about affiliation, who shows up to Diddy's trial next week to support him. Because all eyes are going to be on New York on Monday, not just for Diddy, but also for the Met Gala. But who goes to that trial is going to be interesting to see who supports him. Now, if you were friends with Diddy and you had a 20 to 30 year relationship with him, and before he went to prison, you've been seen partying with him, showing love to him, are you pulling up to the trial to support him, or are you staying away?
So that's a good question. But here's the thing. And as I broke down too, I can't I don't care who you are. I can't support what he did to Cassie. I don't. This other stuff is still, whatever. But as you, to your point, 30, friends 20, 30 years, you always together. He's looked out for you, perhaps, or whatever, and now he's in his time of need. Unless you believe that he has committed these awful crimes, then I think you should be there. If you believe that, I get it. If you don't want to support something that you believe happened, then I get that too. So I can't hate. We saw it with Bill Cosby. Nobody came out to support him. R. Kelly, we saw it with R. Kelly, and I get it. Especially when it comes to certain crimes.
Right. Because we know that it helps, because I think a big reason why A$AP Rocky was able to, get over
Yes.
his dilemma is because Rihanna pulled up.
Yes.
That's a huge benefit to a defendant, to have somebody like a Rihanna.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, imagine it's like having Beyonce show up.
Right. In Puffy's case, to have, DJ Khaled, French Montana. We know,
but Neil Greer says, and from what I've heard too, but she certainly probably knows better than me, that Puffy never looked out for anybody.
Well, he didn't look out for the artist for sure, yeah. But I'm talking about like his friends, of people that he saw value with, like a DJ Khaled, or like a French Montana, or a Mary J. Blige. So to say, they had their issues, but they reconciled in the end, because when Puffy signed Faith Evans, Mary couldn't stand Puff. She couldn't stand him. But they reconciled and they came back together.
So RNG, in his own funny way, brings up a great point, and I'm going to tell you why it's a great point. He says, I will show up on my OJ starter kit if the money is right. I know for a fact there was at least one, but I understand it probably was more. During I mentioned nobody showed up for Cosby. One major person that we all would know said that he would show up for $5 million and support Cosby during that trial, and Cosby said no. So
who was it?
I'm not going to say, because he's an icon.
Okay, you did this with April.
He's an icon. And he's somebody who
we need a name.
He is somebody that his name does not need to be out there.
Can we get initials? Can we get the initials?
I'll tell you. Okay, I'll give you one initial, J.
Okay, we're gonna move on. I'll get it after the show, y'all. I'll get it after the show. We got one more quickie to go, and this is one that I'm probably going to bring up a couple more times. Social media users have been put to a call to action. Now, on June 14th, they are asking everyone to post photos of Obama all over social media platforms. So if you have a picture with Obama, a picture with the First Family, our Forever First Family, or if you have a favorite picture of Obama, just post it. You want to know why, Stacey?
Why?
Because it is Donald Trump's birthday. And since he wants a parade in Washington, D.C., the military parade, the people, we're going to post our forever favorite president, Barack Obama. And we know how he likes to disenfranchise people of color. So we're going to pick the color president, okay?
What would be fantastic, and it shouldn't be out of the realm of thought and possibility, if you got the former presidents, Obama and Biden and Bush and Clinton together, and while Trump is having his parade in Washington, have a parade in New York or LA or somewhere with them. That would be awesome. That's what we need in this moment. That would be great.
Or I thought you were going to say, like, have a town hall or a panel discussion.
No, I go to the town hall and panel discussion, but a parade would be do both. Well, if you really want to show some pushback, there you go.
Well, can you talk to Dr. Chavis and see if he can make that happen with that town hall on Trump's birthday? The black press calls all former presidents together to talk about the state of democracy.
Mm. I think you're going to need Mr. Bakewell out there to quarterback that one.
How about all the publishers? You know,
Yeah.
get the publishers together, get the black press together, and on June 14th, let's bring all the former presidents together to talk about how we save democracy while he's out there in Washington, D.C. Now that's a statement. And
That's
guess
what I'm saying. Do something like that, right?
Right.
There you go. All right, let's get to
for today.
all right. They were good. Let's get to the black card and no holds barred. I am the one and only Cris Carter, NFL Hall of Famer Cris Carter. We're taking his black card, and here's why we're taking his black card. He went off on Shedeur Sanders for what he says throwing away at least $30 to $50 million in the NFL draft, and he makes it clear that he doesn't believe the NFL colluded against Shedeur. He says it was a what are you talking about moment for Carter. That's what I say. It was a what are you talking about moment for Cris Carter. You know, he played for the Eagles, the Dolphins, and the Vikings, and he went on and that Shedeur threw away this. Shedeur didn't throw it away. He had no control, Chris, as you well know, who picked him and who didn't. He had no control over that.
Right. And
one social media user summed it up this way. He articulated that under the screen, this guy is under the screen name @7_4_7. He says, Cris Carter, you need to be ashamed of yourself out here being a walking contradiction, hating on this young man and his dad. You said you don't think the owners colluded against him, then come back and say they taught him a great lesson. This is what Chris said. They taught him a great lesson. He called Chris, this user called Chris and Uncle Tom in a sad, sad case. To say that they taught him a lesson, that to me really was the hot button part of that too. I mean, everything else was ridiculous, but then you threw in there, oh, they taught him a lesson. It's like, know your place, boy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, these toxic black men, I mean, there's a certain profile for him, and he definitely fits it. I mean, just the fact that, you know, you got to be humble when, I mean, he's Deion Sanders' son. And I mean, you have all of these other players, you know, sticking their chest out, doing what they want. And for some reason, they want to put Shedeur in his place. I think what they did to him is resembling Orange Talk. We talked about it yesterday about the history of the NFL. They have a slave master mentality, those owners do, and it's systemic. It's a systemic practice that has been passed down from decade to decade. And what they did to Shedeur is a prime example of it. And so for him to even say, sometimes it's better not to say nothing at all and keep your opinion to yourself. And this was one of those moments.
Yeah, to say that that they taught him a lesson is ridiculous. Yes, Cris Carter will not be invited to the cookout anytime in the foreseeable future.
And I think too, with these NIL deals, like the money ain't even an issue. I saw a video of Shedeur yesterday. I think it was an older video, but somebody was asking him, what's the first thing you're going to buy when you go get drafted to the NFL? He said, I have everything I want. I mean, there's no big purchase that I need. He said, I got a house, I got the cars, I got the jewelry, everything I want, I have. So it's not even about the money. I think it's more about him and his brother, a passion to play in the NFL, to follow in their father's footsteps and legacies, and a love for the sport. I feel like that's what it is for them. And to deny him something that he totally earned, to put him and place him in a lesson, to teach him a lesson. I mean, that's what this whole systemic racist conversation is all about, putting him in his place. How dare you?
Yeah. Black facts on this date. Yeah, we got a couple. On this date, 1983, journalist and publisher Robert C. Maynard purchased the Oakland Tribune newspaper from Gannett Company. He became the first African American to gain a controlling interest in a major daily newspaper. The newspaper, which had previously been ranked one of the worst in the country, then won a Pulitzer Prize for its coverage of the Loma Prieta earthquake under Maynard's supervision. So this is a great Black fact, especially in the news business.
Right. We were talking about journalists today and just news
Also,
in general.
on this date,
Wait, I
in
thought I'd do the second one.
1992, Bill
Hold on,
Cosby, his successful show of upper middle class Black family life, ran its final original episode after a successful 8-season run. So it was the end of the Cosby Show.
Yes, we all love the Cosby
And that's
Show.
our Black facts
Can you
for
hear me, Stacey?
today.
Can you hear me?
Moving to our, there you go.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, I was like, okay. I'm just saying. We were talking about Bill Cosby earlier. The Cosby Show is I was looking at what was it? Peacock or Prime yesterday, and I saw that they brought back The Apprentice. So now all 8 seasons of The Apprentice are out, but we can't get The Cosby Show back on none of these streaming platforms. But now all of a sudden The Apprentice pops up, when they were really not playing The Apprentice for the same reason that they were doing Bill Cosby, because they were convicted felons and they had priors and women allegations against them. But now Donald Trump is able to be on Prime, and we still can't get The Cosby Show. We have A Different World on Netflix, but it's time for them to bring The Cosby Show back. It should. I mean, I love that the Griot runs it, TV One runs it, but it definitely, and you know, here's the problem that I have with this, Stacey. You can buy the Cosby Show on, I think it's Prime. You can pay for it. You can pay for it, but you can't just watch it freely. So they're still making money. You don't want him on the platform because of his priors, but you are going to allow us to pay for it. I think that's BS. And if you're going to bring Donald Trump and The Apprentice, bring Bill Cosby back, The Cosby Show.
All right. So our Black-owned newspaper of the day is the Black Chronicle. The Black Chronicle newspaper is a weekly periodical servicing the Oklahoma City metro area's African-American community. It has grown into one of the largest paid weekly newspapers in the state of Oklahoma. Currently, the Black Chronicle serves the entire state of Oklahoma, including Tulsa, Lawton, Fort Sill, and Oklahoma City. Our Black-owned newspaper of the day, the Black Chronicle. Visit their website and check them out.
Right. And you know how we do it. For the latest in Black headlines, from the Black Chronicle to the LA Sentinel to the Chicago Defender to the Informer and all in between. All you have to do is head over to blackpressusa.com and we have what you need. And you'll get that first scoop, as always, from April D. Ryan. She is bringing you the facts all the way from the White House. So keep up with Black America at blackpressusa.com.
Thanks for joining us. We will see you again tomorrow.